you know, I'll admit it. I'll admit it. There was a little bit of a popularity contest in what maps got picked for King of the Rockies, since we wanted maps that were going to be good for the players. Maps that everyone likes, like Dry Arabia and Coastal Cliff themed into the Rockies, uh, which is a very popular one there. But at the same time, we as the viewers or as the casters want to see maps that create interesting gameplay, and Cauldron, in my opinion, does that very well. It is one of my favorite maps. I would probably put it in the top 5, honestly.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed casting this one. I actually think this has one of the hypest memories that I have from AoE4. I just remember a demo ship coming out at the perfect time and exploding on, like, I think it was like 6 or 7 villagers and just being
Oh
an immediate
no.
forfeit at the beginning of the game. And it was just such a fun event to watch, such a hype cast. And that's where, will we see another, potential demo ship fight in the middle? Will it even get to feudal age? Is it going to be some spears? That's what we will see in just a second as we are jumping into this game now.
Bum bum bum. Yeah. And so we have Mokomi here in the blue as our Abbasid going right onto the berries. And we
I,
have
they're both playing normal. So
and
this
we have
one's different. So
Filisberto
like,
playing as the HRE in the yellow. And what? Okay, so I know that there's this lake in the center here, chat. Okay, and this lake has 15 shoreline fish, which I think sounds really interesting, and I think that sounds really appealing, like something you might want to fight over. But basically, this map is small, dry Arabia. The mountains are just hemming it in a little bit, and we're playing small, dry Arabia.
well, isn't it what, like Himiyama with more fish? Is that right? Isn't that
Ooh,
that
that's
map?
a good, yeah, like small Hemiyama with
Yeah,
more
yeah.
fish.
But Himiyama, the big difference is Himiyama only has 4 shoreline fish. This one, it is 100% worth it to take the fish. You're gaining so much tempo. The problem becomes if your opponent can deny it really quick. So a lot of times you'll see that if one person takes it and the other person doesn't, you'll see 3 fishing boats. That way you can jump inside your dock, use that little bit of tempo, a little bit of advantage you have, and then go defend your pond with your own feudal age.
Mm-hmm.
So this time, though, neither player taking it at all. I really think this is because they haven't practiced this map enough. They haven't played this one too much. This is not a map that you play on the ladder. You don't interact. And both of these players are ones that they grind ladder games. They aren't doing a bunch of customs as much as, some of those top elo players like Wham and Puppy who are practicing behind scenes, not on stream, because they were practicing for EGC. They're practicing for these bigger tournaments and don't want to show their strats.
Yeah, and it really is unfortunate because like the maps were getting picked randomly. So the fact that we randomly had 2 players that are most likely the least experienced with this map get this map is unfortunate.
But just because water wasn't taken now doesn't mean it won't have some sort of an effect. We see that chapel dropped right next to the TC. That will be safe and secure, getting that wood line for an extended period of time. So no complaints about that one. Meanwhile, Abba going up with the military wing. That is one that I feel like anytime you get free units right when feudal hits, it just gives you that you force your opponent to react more than what you invested into, which allows you to kind of change your game plan and do what you want with a little bit more freedom.
Oh, most certainly. I also think that I would not be surprised if we actually see Mokomi go for a delayed dock. Like I think that is very much on the itinerary, especially because like he hasn't started stone yet, which is
Yeah, I mean, that's
what you
one
would
where
expect out of Abba. So
maybe wants to get enough for wheelbarrow and actually no, I lied.
no, he has
Doesn't
enough
have
for
yeah, he has
he
enough.
has more than enough for fresh foodstuffs and survive or no, he doesn't even have enough for survival techniques. I got that
So
mixed up.
heavy onto the wood. So maybe he is planning on moving out for a dock now, and that is exactly what it is. He said, "All right, I didn't want to go out too early." There is a boar on his side, so if Filisberto scouted this out, he could be annoying with that boar and just pull it, try to get it on top of that villager. But dock should end up going up.
Yeah, and I don't think Filisberto is gonna see this in time. So there's no way that we're gonna see there's no way Pumbaa's gonna get in on the action here. But this also does make sense. The way Mokomi is playing this, because he's waiting to have his free feudal units from the age up. So that way, in case Filisberto was going for a blind dock, he's not just walking into it. He has some muscle behind this play.
Yeah, and I love this. He's going for the dock. He's also got fresh food stuff. So just getting that natural boost to your food eco in two different ways now. Has a ton of sheep to fall back to. Obviously has back deer, has berries as well. But the key is he needs to respect the HRE feudal age that everyone knows how strong it is. Oh, I thought it was double range by Filisberto. I think he canceled it and dropped the barracks as well. So going out with some archers, going out with some spears, drop one of those early farms just on top of that chapel. But the first military units arrive from Mokomi and push Filisberto off the gold.
Yeah, this opening looks extremely familiar to something that we saw earlier. The way Munch played his English not his English, I'm sorry. His HRE was pretty much the same, an early farm here and there, blacksmith, range with the barracks. Like this is very similar. This is, very much the tried, true and patented HRE feudal approach. And I think it works very well in this matchup.
Yeah, Filisberto grabbed a bunch of that gold too. Hasn't yet been spending it on upgrades, but that's where I'm sure now able to grab two different blacksmith upgrades. First, steel the arrow coming in for that archer mass that he is focusing on first.
I think he's gonna get. No, wait.
On the other side, Mokomi is opting for the more mobile army. He's got that little bit of extra food bonus as far as not having to pay as much for villagers. Should have fishing starting to get going for a little bit, so can invest a little bit more into the food-heavy units. Going horseman archer as his composition.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, and I think that this is definitely a very good way to play it. I am a fan of horsemen against HRE, just like the mobility, because even with marching drills, at the end of the day, HRE is a slow civilization because they're an infantry comp. So being able to run around, poke a little bit, like hit these deer when they go onto that, stuff like that. Especially since we're seeing so many archers, it makes perfect sense to me, and I really like this play.
Yeah, this is also allowing the Filisberto to feel the pressure a little bit. Can't really feel like he can push out as early. And when he does, now Mokomi already has 5 fishing boats extra working for 4 fishing boats, but 1 extra vill, I guess. Just a little bit of difference there. And so that's where he's got a little bit of extra eco that's starting to build up. Starting to get that unit mass going, and he doesn't have to worry as much about the marching drills since he's going with the quicker composition, having the cav on his side.
Yeah, and the scout from Filisberto is going to go down pretty soon. He got caught out by a horseman, so I think that's going to die before it manages to escape to safety in the base.
Swap score, by the way.
Swap score. Oh.
But Filisberto up at a very, very nice archer number. Remember, he's got that inspired eco. Just so much wood that chapel is able to provide as far as just an eco bonus. So Filisberto's number is able to climb a little bit quicker, even with the fishing. So spear archer starting to move forward, and look at what the big difference is going to be for Mokomi. He's investing into a Dow, wants to punish the grouped up infantry units if they try to deny some of that fishing and group up and burn the dock. Well, a Dow's a great thing to get a lot of extra damage in, but Filisberto doesn't even worry about the dock, wants to keep pushing forward, loses the scout though, able to pick up 1 or 2 archers in return.
Yeah, and that is a massive pickup. And the Dow does come out, so it's slowing down reinforcements as Filisberto moves into the base of Mokomi. And this is a fairly significant military lead. There's only 13 land units out for Mokomi versus the 21 archers.
Yeah,
that
the big thing for Mokomi is he needs to get to that point where he can just one-shot the spears, and that way, Filisberto only has 4 spears out. The Horseman number, all they need to do is have the spears cleaned up, and then they feel free and clear to actually get the surround, close the gap, and take the fight. But even with 1, 2, 3 spears there, if they're not micro, they're not focused down, then those Horsemen get cleaned up real quick. We see Filisberto was looking away for a little bit. Spears have stepped forward. Archer's able to 2-shot those. There's only 2 spears left, and this is what I was worried about just talking about on Filisberto's side. There's only 1 single spear left, so the Archer deficit isn't going to matter as much with the tankier Horsemen.
Yeah, these Horsemen are just running roughshod here and just taking out the rest of these. There are some Archer reinforcements coming in, but I think they're just too split off, and they're too insignificant to really affect us, especially since we also have Horsemen coming in as well.
So you can already see how hurt Filisberto's numbers have gotten. He has the marching drills, but the marching drills doesn't matter with the cav. Like I said, Horseman able to close the gap. He feels like he has the kite. Every time he turns the kite, the archers from Mokomi get another volley in, and we're going to look back, and Filisberto is going to be at 1 military unit, and that's going to be his prelate.
Yeah, and oh god, yeah, these archers are just they're running into the corner of the map, they're running into the cliff, the forest. There's absolutely no hope for them as Filisberto's response to this is he's actually going for castle. He's throwing down outposts on his gold, and he's just gonna try and age up. He's almost there in terms of wood or food, and he's about halfway there in terms of gold. Like 1 more minute.
And he's got a ton of safe food. It's just, you know, I guess you got to drop the age up on the backside of your base, and you have to go Burgrave. You got production. It just feels like you wouldn't be able to get relics even with this castle timing. He's trying to rush down that secondary outpost, but the army, it's knocking on the doorstep. It's about 3/4 of the way up, 80, 90% of the way up. 1 volley of the archers down. Next villager goes down. Last villager, will it get it up in time? It does not finish. It doesn't have the last little bit of luck. Another villager falls. How many games today can be decided by 1 little tap? This is so devastating. Look at the villager getting crushed now. Every single volley of archers takes down another villager. And just when we thought Filisberto could go up to Castle Age, he gets idled, denied off of gold, and loses 8 villagers.
And those 8 villagers are going to be very, very real, especially in a moment when there's a ram coming down for Mokomi. He's going to be knocking on the door, and he's going to be knocking hard. Admittedly, there are emergency repairs, and that will definitely help out in keeping this outpost going, but
think about what's going on behind this. Mokomi's untouched. He still has that fishing boomed up. He got a ton of vill kills, and his resources, he can actually stop this production that he has, do as much damage as he's going to, which is, again, every single volley kills a villager here. He's diving. The villagers get pulled back. Horsemen are chasing it down. 4, 5 more villagers fall. Outposts are starting to fall, and Burgrave is being dropped. But at what cost? He doesn't even have the gold to make a men-at-arms, get the upgrades through. What's he gonna do? There's no back gold. He's got to sneak out to the side, and Mokomi has all the mobility and will be able to age in the next little bit.
He's gonna sell food. That's the only hope he has. Is Filisberto built a market? He's gonna sell food, but like it doesn't matter. You can't afford the upgrade. Never mind everything else that comes with it, like building the units.
I mean, well, emergency repair has been used. There's 42 seconds left on the cooldown. So how many houses, how many can this outpost, what all is going to fall from these rams, or is Mokomi going to go straight for the Burgrave? He's going for the outpost first. I think he should just split outposts and houses and then just go after the villagers like he is. Has a horseman on the top side already. He's on the food. He's on the deer. Doesn't care about the TC. Doesn't care about the early men-at-arms that just popped out. Again, every volley's a villager kill. The villagers have to path around the archers. They're splitting up. More and more falling. Horsemen are there body blocking. This is a great timing by Mokomi again and again and again. I'm surprised Filisberto hasn't given up, but he wants to solidify his spot at the top of the hill. He wants to be the king, but Mokomi has something to say. economic wing coming in behind it.
Oh god, yeah, I didn't even realize that there was an eco wing coming up. I think it's if
Oh,
this
it's the
game goes on,
farms.
if this game goes on for another until eco wing goes through, Filisberto will GG out when eco wing does go through. But he has half the economy. There's no way he's gonna keep this.
I mean, again, I think Mokomi, now that he's taken out the outpost, there's no standing defenses. Yeah, there's strong units. There's these scary men-at-arms now that are castle age, but he can just run past them. He can still continue to just throw his horsemen away at villagers and go into the eco. Circle back with a few archers, get on top of the farms, idle eco again. Look at the income per minute for Filisberto.
There is none. Yeah,
and again, there we go. The archers, the horsemen, they run past the men-at-arms. They're still the grouping on the top side. Filisberto trying to get back on the wood line, trying to get back on the farms, and right when he does, the next grouping comes in. He's got to run. 24 villagers have gotten taken out. There's no room inside the TC anymore to hide.
Yeah, this is an absolute massacre. And you know, Filisberto has lost 25 villagers. He only has 24 currently. Like that is just how bad this is.
He's able to sneak out on top of that northern gold. There's 6, 7 men-at-arms, but there's the new age beginning. Archer upgrade coming through, so they'll be a little bit more effective, especially with the balanced projectiles as well. Fertile crescents from the eco wing, so we might see another TC, or we might see that farm transition happen super quick for Mokomi when stuff gets quite a bit cheaper, but still just kiting away, waiting for upgrades to come through.
Yeah, this...
And it's the crossbow swap too, as well as knights or lancers.
Yeah, Mokomi just has so many resources, or such an insane income that he can just do whatever he wants, and he actually baits these men-at-arms into the doubt, which like it's not going to do a lot of damage, but it's a little, salt
Crossbows
in the wounds.
said goodbye to the deer, killed both the deer, and Filisberto said, "Are you toying with me?" Mokomi takes the dub and wins the new spot on the King of the Hill, taking Filisberto down on HRE. We know Mongols is his civ, so might need to expand that wheelhouse a little bit here, prepping for the tourney.
Yeah, that game was rough. I think it really just comes down to that one really bad fight that Filisberto took, and he never
had
recovered.
4 spears. He only had 4 spears against someone who's making horsemen. Mokomi got to double-digit horseman numbers, focused down the spears at the very start of the fight, and it's over. And that's exactly what happened. It was a great job of, again, closing the gap, having that right unit composition to take down the slower army that Filisberto had.